We are live. Hello,
Whoa.
Ben.
Hey, Amy, good to see you. Long time no see. 好久不见了。
真的, literally. So good to see your smiling face. And hi, everyone who's watching from home. My name's Amy from the channel Blondie in China, and this is my good friend Ben. Would you like to, shall we, introduce yourself, Isa, Ben?
好的啊，各位大家好，欢迎来到全世界最宜居的城市，我的老家墨尔本，我是小明。Good day, everyone. My name is Ben. I'm from the land down under Melbourne. And my Chinese name is Xiaoming.
Yeah, cool stuff, man.
Yeah, no, good intro.
That was really great. I love the enthusiasm, much better than mine. So you're in Melbourne at the moment, and if people aren't in Australia and aren't familiar with the whole Australia coronavirus situation, Melbourne is under some pretty intense lockdowns at the moment. Is that right?
That's right. I mean, so what was that?
Run us through what it's like being in Melbourne at the moment.
Well, every time that I open any of my videos, I always say, "G'day, my name's Ben. Welcome to welcome to the most livable city in the world, Melbourne." But recently, Melbourne hasn't really been that livable at all because we've been in lockdown. And I think what I heard recently that the restrictions that we have in Melbourne are some of the most strict in the whole world. Yeah. And it's been like that for about, I think, 3 months now. So it's called stage 4. And essentially there's a curfew. So I can't go out of my house now from 5 a.m. to 8 p.m. at night. I can't leave my house. I can only go outdoors for certain things, that is to go shopping, but only one person per household can do it. And once a day, I think. I can go outdoors and exercises for 1 hour, and I can go see the doctor. And I think that's about it, really. Like, you can't do much more than that. So it's just lots of time indoors.
Crazy. Well, I'm definitely not siamuing you right now. I'm definitely not jealous of you. I'm here in Sydney, and things are very much seeming back to normal, almost like a bit weirdly so. I went out to dinner with my friends last night, and there were so many people out, no social distancing, no one was wearing masks. I was like, this is very uncomfortable. But yeah.
That's crazy, because I remember I was thinking back in February where overseas it was coronavirus was getting a lot of momentum in Italy and in Iran and still in China. And I was thinking, you know what, I just don't think Australians or people that are living in Australia, they'll ever wear a mask. I just can't see them being willing to do it. But now when you go outdoors in Melbourne, you also have to wear a mask. You have to maintain social distance of 1.5 meters. And so everyone wears masks now. And so it shows, like, when you're forced into these situations, you just got to do it. And so everyone now is wearing masks. And if someone wasn't wearing a mask, I'd be like, whoa, like, careful.
Yeah. Like, it's so weird. In different spheres, it seems that masks are more popular than others. When I go to my local shopping center, 90% of people are wearing masks. And if you don't wear a mask, everyone's looking at you like, hey, why aren't you wearing a mask? But last night, everyone's dressed up, going out to dinner, and it seems like mask just doesn't go with the outfit. So no one is wearing a mask, which is just such a weird contrast. But yeah, things are going better here in Sydney. We're about at like 6 cases a day here. So, but yeah, people out there wear a mask.
Yeah, I think so. You know, I think for all of our, our Australian-based viewers and also our overseas-based viewers, if you can wear a mask, it's definitely something that helps. And it's also, more than anything, it's just a reminder too to remain, distance from someone, to touch your mouth. And, everyone can do their little bit. But I know in Melbourne at the moment, recently we're doing really well because of this lockdown. We had, I think it was 40 new cases today, and that's a lot. But still, it's a lot better than 700, which is where we were 2 months ago. And it's taken a long time to kind of get to where we are at the moment. But, fingers crossed, hopefully by Christmas, I can go outside and, go to my favorite coffee shop, and that's what I'm hoping for. That would be a great Christmas present.
100%. Like, I was planning on being in Melbourne right now to visit my friends and my family and seeing you in Melbourne. But yeah, because of what's happened, I had to push that back. But I'm really looking forward to coming to Melbourne as soon as I'm able to, and making some videos there. We have to make some videos together, man. That would be so much fun.
Absolutely. It's been so long. I mean, I've been really lazy. I know, for anyone that's followed my channel, I know I'd love to be making more videos. I've just been so busy with work recently. But that's not an excuse. You just make it part of your schedule and get them out there. And
Yeah.
I'd love it. Come down and we can do a couple of videos.
That would be so much fun. So for everyone who's watching from home, the main theme of today's live stream is going to be our experience being on Chinese TV shows. I've been on a few, Ben has been on a few. At the moment, Ben is one of the panel of one of the most popular and impressive shows in China at the moment called Informal Talks. Ben, you are a superstar. Like, I so could see this happening for you. Like, we're going to talk all about your experience on Informal Talks in a little bit, but I kind of want to take it back to the beginning, how it started for us, like how we met. So how about you start us off, Ben? How did we meet?
My earliest memories of us, we were in Shanghai, and it probably was one of the bars or something, or in the international dorms, or the the Australia-China committee. But I think from memory, it was probably some sort of get together with Australians based in Shanghai. And we were 2014, I think, Fudan University, Shanghai. So for our viewers that don't know, Fudan University is one of the main universities in Shanghai, and we both went on exchange that year, and it was an incredible year. Lots and lots of fun. I really cherish those memories, and I was not as busy back then than I am now, and I love the days of getting up and studying, and then feeling I'm so busy and so tired, but it was an incredible year.
So we were there on exchange. I remember meeting you. Were one of the first people I met when I arrived in Shanghai. And this is my first memory of you. We were out to eat noodles or xiaolongbao or something on the Wudong Road, the good old, the Dong. Yeah, you know it. And we're at this restaurant, and like, I was already blown away by everyone's Chinese around me. But when I heard you speak Chinese for the first time, and I think it was to like the Laoban, like the boss of the store, I was like, what is going on? Like, I have never met a white boy with such good Chinese before in my life. And like, oh my gosh, Ben, like you blew me away. And you were such a motivation for me in that first year, like of seeing like how good I could become hopefully one day. Can you talk us through your Chinese language journey? For people who are watching, Ben has like the best Chinese of anyone I know, who isn't Chinese, of course. But yeah, Ben, over to you.
My Chinese is definitely not the best. Like, well, Chinese is 一般般世界第三, but I think my Chinese journey is a little bit different from the traditional route. And I started in high school learning, Chinese. And then after I finished high school, I went over to Beijing for a while just to kind of, to travel and just to kind of experience the culture and to study a bit of Chinese. And then when I came back to Australia, I was looking forward to, going to Melbourne University and start studying commerce and, hopefully, continue my Chinese. Yeah. And then, unfortunately, I was in a really significant car accident. And so I was in a coma for a week. I fractured all my rib cage and my sternum. I had a really serious concussion to my head. And like I was in a really, really bad state. And really, this is a condensed version of the story. But after about, a week or so, I woke up. And then it was really hazy for about a week. But the first words to come out of my mouth was fluent Chinese. And so at that stage, like my family, of course, were over the moon that their son's still alive. But they're worried that, we might have to learn Chinese to be able to converse with our own son. And my mum, dad, and little brother, they don't speak any Chinese. But at that stage, we had a Chinese nurse that was able to translate a little bit, and we're able to communicate with each other.
Yeah.
And then after, I think, probably about a couple of days, I finally realized that what I was saying, they weren't getting. And so then I started mixing English and Chinese together. And that was the worst because no one could understand what I'm talking about. And then finally, probably after about a week or so, I was able to kind of recognize, okay, Chinese to these people and English to my family. But look, it's taken a really long time for me to come to, to, I guess, appreciate what really happened. And I think reflecting on it, what happened was that my internal monologue became Chinese. And so it's like that voice that's in your head. And I think for all our foreign language learners, like that's, at least from what I understand, the level that you want to get to with the language of, fluency is you don't even think in your mother tongue anymore.
Yeah.
You just, when you think of an apple, it comes out as pingwo. or when you think of I want to go here, like you just think in Chinese, and you're dreaming in Chinese. And for me, I think because of the accent, at least wherever the focus of my language was shifted from English to Chinese, and then because it became my internal monologue, everything became a lot more fluent.
Yeah.
And so because of that, then suddenly after that, I've survived. I'm up and going, and then from there, then I think I did the highest level of Chinese you can do at Melbourne University as a student, and that was really easy, right? Because everything was just going in Chinese in my head, and like this is a really long story too, Amy, of taking us through the whole thing. But I think probably the most thing after that, then there was Chinese Bridge, which I think a lot of our friends from around the world that have a connection to China, a lot of us do this competition, and this is like, I guess, an iron person competition in China where you speak Chinese, you do poems, you dance, you do acting scenes, you sing, and in that, like, it was about, I think, it was 3 months after I'd woken up from the coma that I went on to represent Australia in this competition, and standing on stage speaking in Chinese to people from Mexico, from South Africa, from Japan, from Russia, but knowing that our common language was Chinese rather than English, it was a very liberating and moment. And so I think that's really what gave me the push and the motivation to keep pushing through and just exploring this Chinese route that's kind of led me to where I am today.
So you woke up from this coma, and previous to going in the coma, you wouldn't have called your Chinese advanced, would you?
I definitely have a basic level of Chinese, and it was not from zero to hero, but my fluency, without a doubt, improved because things that in the past might have been a little bit less natural, and being able to just converse, not even worrying about it, hands behind my head. It just accelerated the language journey, I think. And, after you live in the country for, many years, it'll become more and more natural with any sort of language. And it just kind of accelerated me along the language journey faster than what, would have been without it.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. Like, so how long did it take for your inner monologue to go back to English, or is it still Chinese, or is it kind of a combination of both?
This was years ago now. So fortunately now I can kind of go English and Chinese, and I'm living in Melbourne. So it's probably 50-50 in terms of the Chinese and English that I speak in an average day. But it definitely took a long time. And it was more so the sleeping and dreaming in Chinese, which probably went for a whole year, I think. But, after, I guess, 2 months or so post waking up, I was able to fairly naturally speak English and fairly naturally speak Chinese and divide between the two and I don't have too much experience learning other languages. I did French in high school, and I never really, I could do, bonjour, je m'appelle Benjamin, comment vas-tu, magnifique. But like, obviously, for anyone here that can speak French, you'll know how bad my French is. Chinese, it just was, a really natural language to me, and I guess that's kind of where I am today.
Yeah, that's so cool, and I love that you persisted with it. Well, it was like you had this now new gift that, like, you had this whole new view on the whole thing. So that's so cool. So you then went into Chinese Bridge competition, and I very much can understand what you were saying, how you go into this competition, and usually the connecting language when you're with a group of people is English. And it was the first time ever that, and probably the only time since, that I've been in a situation where Chinese was the unifying language, and you'd be talking to another person, even sometimes from your own country or from England or from the US, that are English speaking countries, but you would go to Chinese first because everyone was there trying to improve their Chinese. Such a cool environment to be in.
Really global, like really international, and unlike anything that I ever would have conceived. Like, speaking to people from Australian Chinese, but the reason that we are is because it's almost like, you know, when you've got your friend's language and then you've got your parents' language. You know, we converse differently with different social groups, and because these groups that we're in, the common language, even though I could speak English with you, but there might have been someone from Japan there that didn't speak English, so it was polite to use the language that everyone can use, which is Mandarin. Not Japanese, not English, but Mandarin. So then we'd be speaking Chinese and everyone would be able to understand what we're talking about.
Yeah, that's so cool. Do you have any like funniest, like any interesting memories from the Hanyu Tao Chinese Bridge competition that come to your mind?
I do. I think the first, like the most significant memory, just how international and how it just felt so special to, like, I'd never met someone from Russia. I'd never met someone from South Africa. I'd never met someone from, you know, countries that I didn't even know how to say in English, let alone Chinese. And this opportunity to converse with everyone in Mandarin, China, and China was the connecting point. It was truly really special and probably opened up my eyes to, you know, wanting to be a global citizen and wanting to be involved on a global stage with what I'm going to do in the future. But specific memories, I do remember going into the competition and thinking that, look, I'm going to be here for a couple of days, it'll be great. And then, because I was so tired post-accident, but somehow I just kept getting through each of the rounds. I don't think I was, you know, necessarily the best, but for some reason I kept getting through all the rounds. And then one of the things, we had to do a speech about, you know, what is your Chinese dream? I think it might be the same with you. You know, what is your Chinese dream?
Yeah. I can still remember my speech.
What was yours?
Oh, well, so I made a bit of a metaphor between Australia. Oh, I think I did Australian gum trees with pandas. I tried to create a metaphor between like Australia and China, and I was like, well, 我的梦想就是变成 like to become like a bridge between the two countries. And
good for the Chinese bridge.
Oh yeah, that got me right through.
I remember it and hearing some people had, you know, really, really motivational dreams. You know, I want to, you know, open a school teaching English in China and teach people that don't get the opportunity. Like, these are, you know, really, really meaningful dreams.
Yeah.
But for mine, like, I just picked a really small one because I thought everyone was going to do this huge dream. So I was like, you know, all I want to do, I just want to meet a guy called Dashan. And so for our Chinese listeners, Dashan is like the guy from I guess an English-speaking country, and he was one of the first foreigners who started to really appear on Chinese television, and he appeared in a scene back in the Spring Festival TV program. I'm not sure, probably back in the 80s or so, and he appeared actually with the mum of one of my friends, who was from Portugal, and they did the scene or whatever, and he just went to stardom after that and did xiangsheng, which is like Chinese stand-up comedy. And he just, you know, he was like the guy, the foreigner who could speak Chinese. And because you know, he was a bit of a role model for me earlier on, also coming from an English-speaking country, and knowing that, hey, even though I don't have Chinese in my blood or a Chinese family, like this can be a guy that I can model myself on. And all my dream was, I just want to meet the guy. So, 我的中国梦是和大山见面. And so that was what it was. And then in the final show, like, they got Dashan to host it, the final, you know, and so I got to meet the guy. And I'm like, I got my Chinese dream. That was a really, really fun memory. We also had cooking competitions and stuff. Like, it was, you know, so good.
Wow, you made it to the very end.
I didn't. I didn't make it to the grand final. I came 7th in the world.
Better than I.
The top 6 to get to the grand final. I got to the semi-final.
I got to top 15. So I was somewhere between 15 and 10, which I was very happy with, considering my Chinese was awful. Like, I don't know about you, but I felt so much pressure in that show because everyone around me, their Chinese was so amazing, and I would be up until like 3 a.m. every night, like trying to memorize words so that I could like not look like the dumb blonde on this Chinese TV show. That was my worst fear, just looking like a silly little white girl.
Mine was I went into it with no expectations at all. And so for me, just getting through, I didn't that I didn't think I was going to get through each round. And for some reason, I just kept getting through. So it was definitely hard just because I was needing to sleep a lot more, and I'd come off the accent like I was sleeping a lot, like 15, 16-hour days. And so these suddenly then going from, and we'd be doing 4 or 5 hour nights in the competition, if that. But I think it was just the adrenaline that drove me through the whole month. And then I got back to Australia after I'd slept for a whole month.
What an experience though, huh? I'm so glad you did it. There's actually a lot of people in the comments asking if we could do a 5分钟中文挑战, if we could speak just for 5 minutes.
I just saw the comments. Sorry. Okay, yeah, let's do it. 好，来。
但我跟你说，我的中文确实退步了，你呢？
是我也没有我觉得可能一天内我大部分时间在说英语因为最近我是一个房地产开发商，所以大部分的时间我在跟人用英文沟通。但是因为每一天我都会跟我的中国朋友通过什么微信保持联系啊，会看微信啊。会看中国的电视节目，我看了你微博，你最近也在看一些中国的电视节目，对吧？
对，我一直在看。
但是在几个方面上，我可能退步了吧。就比如说什么中国的绕口令啊，唱中国的歌，但是这个呢，我相信我可以努力一点然后可以。继续学习就很快就应该可以再回到以前那样。
我还是觉得你的中文太流利了，溜。
也没有，还行吧，一般般，世界第3。
classic。我在上海的时候，我坐出租车的时候可以说出租车。When I was in the cabs in Shanghai， 我每一次都会说这一句一半一半，世界第3，因为
我也是这么想的。
你说你好，他们就说你的中文说的非常好，就是一半一半，世界第3，然后
对吧？那么说到上海呢，你的上海话讲的怎么样呢？
我还记得你教我一句，就是农非这个吧，还是
农吃肥了。是别的吧？
你说上海话吧。
其实我跟今朝阿朋友又講我上海話講得唔到好，講得我只能講一點點上海話。其實我上海話講得交關唔到好。Oh man, it's been so long since I've spoken Shanghainese, and all I could do was like 3 or 4 sentences, but really well. So whenever I sit in a Shanghai taxi, I'd just sit down and be like, "Hey, no, 阿拉要到我的岛去，然后那个出租车司机 the taxi driver would be like, "Oh, you lived in Shanghai for? Oh, you must have like a Shanghainese wife or something." I say, was我是上海人，我说澳大利亚人。Like I'm not Shanghainese, I'm an Australian.
Oh my gosh, I still laugh as hard as that as I did in Shanghai. I remember you coming up after your Shanghainese lessons. I always thought it was such a fun concept that you were taking Shanghainese lessons at Fudan University, and you would come back with a new phrase or a new thing to say, and I remember everyone was just so impressed, including myself. So I'm glad you still remember some, but anyone in the chat knows Shanghainese, I would love to know what they think of your Shanghainese, please.
Yeah, actually, I would literally... What do you mean Shanghainese needs a little work? Yes, that's what I'm talking about there, Neon. That's amazing. No, I'm just curious. He needs a few drinks from a Shanghai bar. Yeah, I'm guessing the more drinks I have, the better my Shanghainese gets.
Me too. Not Shanghainese, just Chinese in general. Actually, just everything is better for me when I've had a few drinks.
I think, you just lose any sort of nerves and it just all naturally comes out. Or at least you think it's better. But then maybe you find out later on, you're just like, Ni hao.
In my head, it worked. Yeah, I don't often drink, but when I do, I speak some Chinese, and I'm always like, "Yeah, I'm on fire tonight," but probably not so much. But we just received a super chat from Lee Yip. Thank you for that. Ben, you can sing quite well. Would you like to 唱一首歌?
Well, I literally I really should learn some more songs, and I'm so bad with lyrics. I don't know what it is. It doesn't matter whether it's English or Chinese. I always forget lyrics. I've got one song that I think I can sing
Okay.
that I've sung on If You Have Featured World. I think I've sung it on every single Chinese show I've been on just because it's the only song I can do. But it's called 以后别做朋友。
Oh, okay.
但是以后别做朋友，在这里不是我们不要做朋友，是我们要走到，我们要再上一个层次，我们要走到下一步。
Oh, 好吧。
Okay. 习惯听你分享生活细节，害怕破坏完美的平衡点。Actually, I started way too high there. Let me go one more time. 习惯听你分享生活细节，害怕破坏完美的平衡点。保持着距离，可心的遥远。我的寂寞，你却离我不能听不见。以后别做朋友，朋友不能牵手。想爱你的牵动，我只能笑着带过。最好的朋友，有些话不能说出口。就不要承担会失去你的心疼。
Oh
How was that?
Amazing.
Was that good enough?
I hope that we
Yeah, that's
gave our super chats worth, Lee. That was amazing, Ben. Because you used to play guitar, right? And you used to sing and like play Chinese
I'm
songs.
not even joking. Actually, I bought a guitar. I think this was about a year ago. I bought one. It's a really nice steel string guitar, and I just haven't gotten time to play it enough. I think maybe that can be something I can really try and do. You know, as my resolution for the last 3 months of 2020, but to learn a couple of songs in Chinese and play them on guitar. Maybe next time we do a live stream, that could be a challenge. I'll do one on guitar then.
I already look forward to it. Yeah, hearing you sing Chinese kind of reminded me of last week when I went to KTV with my family. So
good. No, I did. I saw that. That's so good.
Yeah. So I took them, I made a video about it, but I am going to release it in a few weeks. But yeah, I have my little heat pack here because I sang a bit too, I think I got into the dance moves a bit too much. And I actually like have really done something weird to my neck.
What happened? What were you doing? What sort of move was it? Can you like do a small version of it for us?
I think it was the head flick back when I was singing to I think it was a bit of an aggressive head flick. But yeah.
Well, get acupuncture.
I was thinking about doing that, but I heard a horror story the other day of someone getting acupuncture and then they lost feeling in this side of their face for 30 years.
Oh, that is scary.
I really want to try acupuncture. So if anyone is in Sydney and knows a good acupuncturist, give me your tweets in.
I've heard that. I've heard similar, like the exact opposite of stories like that. Like I think that's my biggest fear is that maybe you do your 1 millimeter to the wrong direction and then your face. But I've got a story. I know a guy that he did lots of different, went to different doctors and different specialists and everything about his hand. And I can't remember what it was, but maybe one of the fingers just didn't work very well, was injured. And for years, that's what was his issue. And then he went and saw an acupuncturist. And I'm not just like disclosure, I'm not a medical professional at all, so I've got no idea. But I've just heard this story. And it was like literally like after a minute or so, he did a couple of needles and stuff. And he literally then regained use of his fingers. Like,
oh my gosh,
I don't know how, that's what I've heard, but like I know there's some miracles that can be done through acupuncture.
Yeah, I know. So I want to make sure I go to someone who knows what they're doing because it would be awkward trying to like do vlogs when like I can't speak.
Yeah.
Yeah, could be
So
serious.
maybe you could do a sign language channel. That would be really good.
But sign language is different in every country. I think.
That's right. Like grammatically, Chinese is different to English, and words like how do you do 幸福 in English? Like some words you just can't translate.
Exactly. What are some of your favorite non-translatable words from Chinese to English?
I think like the one that always pops to mind for me is 幸福, which is, I guess you can translate as happiness, but I feel happiness is kind of one side, like it's almost on one level, whereas 幸福, like there's a lot of different things that come into it. There's like a feeling of wealth, of good health, of longevity. And it's like the way that my Chinese teacher described to me was that it's just all the good things all into one. That's what Singfu is. And that's kind of it. And I think you only get that after being exposed and, to Chinese culture, and after a while, and then you start to internalize that meaning.
Yeah, someone here has written eating equals Singfu, which I definitely agree with.
Right.
For me, the one that comes to mind is mafan. And I've taught my family what mafan means. So now I can say, oh my gosh, this something is so mafan, like so annoying. But I feel like the feeling of mafan is so much better in Chinese. Like you can express yourself a lot more in terms of like being mafan. You can't say, oh, I don't want to. Oh, yeah. Anyway, that's one that I would say that I
think it's fascinating, isn't it? The way that language is used in bilingual or even trilingual, whatever groups. And so I find myself, I can express myself the best in a group of people that can speak both languages.
Yeah.
Because like what you say, like when we're in a group of maybe everyone's from Australia, but we've been in China and we've got that kind of movement. And so when we speak, we won't be like, oh, that's really annoying. It'll be like, oh, that's so mafan. I'll be like, I completely agree with you.
I love it. Yeah.
It's just it's Chinese English.
Yeah, it's so short, It's so short. Just being able to put in your favorite words of Chinese into your English sentences, or the other way around. I also find it really comfortable to be with a group of Chinese people who all know at least like a basic level of English. So when I come across a word that I don't know, I can just say it in English and the conversation can go on. Otherwise, I find myself in that really annoying predicament, like, I know what I want to say, but I just don't know how to say it. But yeah, I've actually started some private tutoring online of Chinese because I really want to improve. And I feel like it's just going
just video,
yeah, through Skype.
It's amazing, isn't it? Like I did that too before some of the shows that I've done before, because I wanted to work on not just my Chinese. Like I can speak Chinese in a relaxed environment very comfortably, but it might be different on a TV show, the way that you speak, the way that you present yourself. And so I did, the same sort of stuff. I did training about how to, I guess, speak like the TV presenter Chinese. Like
Chinese speaker.
新闻联播，我是主播孟建明。今天的主要内容有。
I remember you used to do that. That's so fun. Good party trick. Because I guess if you want to go into hosting, you do have to pick up that. 大家好.
I think there's an element. There's always a balance. Like you still want to have your own style, and you still want naturally. The way that your voice works compared to my voice is different, but there's ways how you can use your diaphragm to speak from the belly, and that's the same in any language. Like that's what I was surprised when I was speaking to this guy. He's like, it's like opera singers. You learn how to classically train to use your diaphragm when you speak, so it's not all up in your throat. It's just Chinese tends to be more focused, at least from my basic understanding. It tends to be more focused right here than other languages. But even when you're singing, whatever. Long story short. Studying is really good and is really convenient through the phone now.
Talking of presenters, that actually first I want to address a couple of super chats. I got one from my lovely boyfriend who's watching from Germany. Hello in Germany, boyfriend, and for everyone else watching from Germany. There's also someone who asked, "What is the calligraphy behind you, Ben? Can you walk us through?"
Oh wait, it's a mirror. Here we go. So I feel like I've got a bit of a Chinese and Australian theme in my room, which actually I can give you the whole rundown of what's behind me. Please. So the obvious stuff is the Australian flag, and then the kangaroo. But this one here, for those that don't speak Chinese and those that might not be able to read it, it says 心想事成, and it's a chengyu, which is a Chinese idiom, and literally it means heart, think, thing, become. And so what it means is like whatever you put, or I guess whatever you put your mind to, in I guess the little English sense, but like the heart's even more powerful. Like whatever you put your heart to, whatever your heart desires, will come true. Aww. And to me, that was really like I'm really big in motivation and motivating kind of things. And I find that seeing things like that really motivate me, and that there's like above my bed. So I'm seeing it every single day, and whatever you want to achieve, put your mind to, you can achieve. And all those words that you might not be able to see, but they're all like really cheesy quotes that I love. Like I think it's really important to surround yourself with positive.
Oh, you do, yeah.
Yeah. So there's like I failed my way to success, and the ones who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones that do. It's really cheesy, but like it kind of hits a heartstring for me.
Yeah.
And then there's one last thing too, which any of our 非种家庭 our people that like informal talks will know this is our old Zong painting, which now is forever in my room.
Oh my god, love it. Oh wow, thanks for that, Ben. Yeah, I hope that answered your questions about the calligraphy in the back to whoever asked it. Okay, I wanted to ask you about your experience on If You Are the One, 非常勿扰, which is like probably in Australia one of the more popular, the most well-known Chinese TV shows in Australia. We used to watch it even before I was learning Chinese. We would watch it on SBS, watch Chinese girls be absolutely brutal, like reject guys because their noses were too big or because they were the wrong star sign. Like, what was it like for you to go on that show? And did you get to meet Meng Fei? Like, tell me everything.
So when I started, when I lived in Shanghai, like I was a huge fan of the show. Like,
yeah.
If You Are the One, or in Chinese is 非诚勿扰, was and continues to be one of the biggest TV shows in China. And a quick like rundown for those that don't know it, essentially it's 24 girls standing on stage, one guy comes out, and it's like an Iron Man competition. You're going to be bombarded with questions, everything from how much do you make, what your job is, how many kids do you want, really, really weird questions here, right, left, and center. And you need to, in an hour or so that you get on the stage, if you make it to the end, you really need to sell yourself and show that you're a man that's worth girls leaving their light on for you. And if they like you, they'll leave their light on for you.
Yeah.
If they don't like you, they'll turn their light off. And then if everyone turns off their light, then you lose and you don't get the girl. If people leave their light on to the end, then you get to choose some of them and then hear from them, and then finally choose one of them. And then, but that's essentially it in a nutshell.
Yeah.
And my experience, like, because I followed the show when I was in Shanghai, and like I was a huge fan of the show, and I really liked Meng Fei, and I really wanted to. Hey.
I loved him too. I watched that show for years. I was so jealous that we could go on it.
He's so witty, and I just knew when the show came on, and at that stage it was the show was with SBS2, which is a channel in Australia, and there was this collaboration. They were doing this Australian special, and I was living in Australia at the time, and I thought I was single. I thought, what a wonderful opportunity! Like this is so cool. And if I find a girl on the show, great, that's fantastic. If I don't, well, whatever. Like as the Chinese saying is, 千里姻缘一线牵, the ties of marriage will transcend 10,000 miles. And so I went on the show, and I got to meet everyone. I made it to the end. I got a girl. We didn't end up with each other. It ended very quickly afterwards, but it was like a really, really incredible experience just to meet everyone, to be up on the show, and to be part of like a really, really big Chinese show.
Oh, like that! I remember when I went on a dating show, kind of a similar concept to 非诚勿扰, If You Are the One, except in reverse. So instead of one guy coming out on a stage with a lot of girls choosing, I was the girl coming out on the stage, and there was a panel of like these 帅哥. And I remember it was just like a complete out of body moment. I left myself backstage, and I was like looking at myself from above, like, what is happening? Like, why is this happening? It was so weird. Did you feel pressure? Like, what was going through your head?
I thought, like, I'm generally pretty good on screen, but I was really nervous. And I normally don't get nervous at these things, but I was really nervous because if I said something wrong, or if they started picking on certain things, like you're at if they don't like you, like you can always be edited to look like something. So you don't really know what it's going to be like. And I could have been rejected straight away, or I don't know, for some reason, maybe they poke fun at me. But there's If You Are the One, you come down in this lift. In your one, I can't remember. Do you come down in a lift as well?
No, you just walk on stage. My one was a bit more low budget. We just walked on.
You need a freaking lift, but like it wasn't necessarily high budget. Like there was no health and safety stuff in it. Like you're in this lift and it's, can you feel it? And you're like, you come down the lift. I was like, oh my god! And then you walk out and you see Meng Fei and you see the girls on stage and you see the whole audience and you're like, oh my gosh, this is it. And you got to do the walk and strut and you're wearing the suit or hey 各位大家好，我是孟建明，来自澳大利亚，今年20什么岁。Like incredible, but yeah, I was so nervous.
Yeah. I bet. Like, what a funny experience. Like, I definitely have no regrets going on the dating show. Like, what a fun thing to tell your grandchildren one day. Like, your granddad, your grandma was on a dating show in China. Like, so random.
I just think it's a once in a lifetime experience. You go into it with the right attitude. Whatever comes of it, comes of it. And because there's been people that have met their husbands and wives on these shows.
Yeah.
Like, and if you end up marrying someone, I think they might pay for your wedding. So like,
love that.
But that's it. A good experience.
Yeah. Did anything come of it? Like, did you get any extra Weibo fans? Did you get asked on more TV shows? Like, because that show would have been watched by so many people. Like, how did that affect you after it?
I think I didn't necessarily get lots of fans and stuff. You get lots of fan mail because at the end of the thing, it's funny. If you get a girl on the show, you get more emails sent to you than if you don't get a girl. So there's lots of people.
You're lovable. Like if someone chooses you, it's like, okay, they deserve my fan.
In the man. But that was one. There's thousands of emails. About blah blah blah. But a lot of them, because when I went on there, I was running a tourism business at the time. They're doing walking tours of Melbourne, saying, "Look, we're coming to Melbourne next time. We'd like to do a walking tour." But probably the thing that was most memorable was I'm still in touch with all the people that went on the show, just as friends. A lot of the guys and the girls that went on the show, we still have a WeChat group with each other. We keep in touch here and there. Yeah, because I got a really special experience of going on the show, and I got the trip to the Maldives too, which was pretty good.
Did you go?
Yeah, we went to the Maldives in the end. We weren't with each other. The girl and I think you get 30 seconds or a minute to speak to each other on stage. We realized that we were not suitable for each other, but going with the right approach. We got a free trip to the Maldives. How good's that? And so we went there, and there was 8 other couples that were on the show at the time on different episodes, but we all went together. And so we all had a week in the Maldives, which was beautiful, really nice.
So cool. Is anyone from the show still together? Did they in your group?
On my way, someone got married. Literally, someone got married in my show. A Perth couple. So they're not sure if they got a baby, but yeah, literally, they were on the show. They've been with each other 6 years, and they're married now.
That's so
there's really happy relationships and marriages and probably kids and stuff that have become from this sort of show. So I think it's doing a really good thing.
Kind of like The Bachelor of China.
The Bachelor of China, yeah. Just, with Chinese characteristics.
I would love to see a Chinese version of The Bachelor. There was something kind of similar to it that I watched a few years ago, 我们约会吧, but it was kind of a weirder version where it's coupling up celebrities to date each other. But, I want to see a real full-on Bachelor or Bachelorette China. That would be amazing.
I'm not following it, but I do know that there's from what I hear and stuff, there's lots of fireworks and there's lots of if you are the one, there's not much, damage, where people are really trying to, hurt each other or go behind each other's backs, because you're only on stage for about an hour or so. So it's generally pretty lighthearted and that. But I know Bachelor can get pretty serious. Or the Bachelor. Oh, yeah.
Really, really dramatic. Tell us more about Meng Fei. What's he like? How does he smell?
Such a legend. Meng Fei, absolute legend. When I went on the show, oh man, I was I was a little too nervous. I wanted to take a selfie with him on stage, like during the show, but I didn't in the end because I chickened out. But he's so good. What I said was, after the show, because you don't get to see him before the show. Like these are huge superstars, and so you go on stage, you do the thing, then you walk off stage, and then normally you don't get to even meet him after the show. But I was first couple from 2016, I think, the first couple on the show for that year, because we filmed in, I think, December, but it was going to be the first episode to go live in 2016. I think, 16. And so I was like, I'm the first couple. I really want to meet this Mengfei guy. And so they allowed me to go backstage.
Yeah.
And I chat with him for a little while. And then I said, because he's got a store called Mengfei de Xiaomian, which is like Mengfei's noodles. And it was a really famous thing in Nanjing where we filmed. Yeah. And so I was like, I've heard that you got to line up outside of the store for hours. And I don't have much time. So, could you maybe help me, not need to line up? And he's like, yeah, sure, just do a video with me. And so we did a video, and him's like, if Ben goes to one of my stores, he can just go straight in and eat. And so I literally went down to the store and I showed him the video and I said, look, it's Mengfei. And they're like, okay.
Oh my gosh, that is incredible. Did you make a video about that experience? Just go showing them.
I should have. There was so much experiences, and backstage, so much stuff that's going on, and getting ready, and they get out the rice wine if you want to drink rice wine before the show. And you film it on. We did 10 episodes, I think. 5 episodes in one day, which is a lot. A lot, really intense.
From what I know of my experience in Chinese TV shows, so sometimes I was in it more in, as the dating show, I was on it, and then you go off. But sometimes you're a part of an audience, and they want a couple of white faces in the audience, and you're literally there until 5 a.m. filming. The hours are crazy, and oh my gosh, yeah, it's nuts. But I don't know, I haven't had much experience in TV in general anywhere else, so I don't know, maybe that's just the norm when it comes to the TV or entertainment industry. You've got crazy hours, but how has it been for you?
Entertainment. Every show that I've done has always been really intense hours-wise, because they've got costs as well. I need to rent studios or rent the camera people or rent the celebrities. The biggest cost of the shows are probably the hosts. And so these people, I'm not sure how they're paid. It's not by the hours, probably per episode. And so they can't afford to just do it over 3 days, because these are busy people. Yeah. And so that's just how they do it. Get in, get out, film it all, and that's it.
Crazy. I want to ask you about your recent stint on Informal Talks. So for you guys that are watching from home, maybe have not heard of the show, how do you say the name in Chinese? 非正式会
In Chinese, it's called 非正式会谈. So 非 is negative or non. 正式 is formal, so informal. 会谈 is talks, but not talking, but a conference, or and so it's called Informal Talk. So it's essentially 10 or 11 guys from different countries in the world. And so on our one at the moment, we've got, see if I can get this right, I'll have to go through it one by one. We've got America, India / Thailand, Australia. I'm going around the table at the moment. Turkey, Japan, Russia, South Africa. I'm starting to forget here. South Africa. Argentina / Spain. Italy / UK. Myanmar and Italy.
Wow, what a
Asian, non-Asian, Middle Eastern, but similar to Chinese Bridge, we're all speaking Chinese and talking about our own experiences about cultural differences and how we live and interact in China. And everyone's from different, working. We've got people that are influencers, property developer. The guy that I've got a little thing with one of the guys on the show who's from Turkey, and his family, he lives in Xiamen, and he sells stone for developing. And so we're always chatting about developing on the show, and let's do business and whatever. But it's an incredible experience and really unique, because again, our common thread is that China and Chinese language.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna get onto one of these shows, because back in the day when I just started learning Chinese, which was what, like 8 years ago, I would watch 世界青年说, which is kind of like a similar concept as I was watching that to learn Chinese. And for some reason, I find it a lot easier to remember words when other like non-Chinese people are speaking Chinese, because they say it with kind of a similar accent to me. And yeah, it's crazy because that show had such an impact on me, and I think for a lot of other Chinese learners as well. So it's really cool that you're out there probably motivating a whole new generation of people who want to learn Chinese, because you talk about really interesting topics as well. And how long do you get to prepare for before you get on stage and talk? Like, do they tell you the topics? Do you get to prepare? What's that like?
I think like my experience, and I've been really fortunate to go on this show. I'm very thankful for the opportunity, and it's really a once in a lifetime opportunity, and to be able to again converse with people from around the world in Chinese. I'm really, really thankful for, and all the fans and the support that we get. Like, it's something truly, truly special that I'll never forget. But for the shows, before I did the show, I was always like, I watched the shows like you. I thought, oh, this is the coolest stuff, like so fun. And I kind of expected that you just get on it, they give you a topic, and you just talk freely, and maybe they edit it down. But it's not like that. Like, there's a lot of preparation that goes into it. We discussing with the editors and the script writers, and they put so much work into it. So I'm really thankful to the Jiamuzu and all the people behind the scenes that put hours and hours. Like, the people that work the hardest are them. Is the directors, is the editors, is everyone that helps behind the scenes. They just work their bums off, and they come up with a topic. They speak with each and individual person to hear about what we think. So, for example, one of the episodes we did, I've done so many of them, but it might be like, so for example, a really basic thing like, what do you do in summer? And it seems really simple, but different countries will do different things. And so they'll speak with each of the different 常驻代表, each of the representatives on the show, and they'll be like, what do you do in Russia? What do you do in Australia? What do you do? And they get the best stories. The ones that are funny, the ones that are sad, the ones that are interesting. And then they've got to come up with a script. And so all the stories, and this is the thing about the show, which I'm most thankful and I appreciate the most, is that it's not fake. Like, literally, the reason that everyone on the show that you see on the screen, that's how they are in real life.
Yeah.
They're a more hyper and intense version of themselves. And all these stories, none of them are made up. They're all literal stories from their lives. And so, you share these sort of things, and then people can comment on it. And they've got to kind of construct the way the script is. And so you'll have a designated thing to say, but it'll be part of your story, or, a reaction or a challenge or something like that.
Yeah.
And then we film it all. And like, an episode is about an hour, I think in total, 45 minutes to an hour, but we might film for 3 or 4 hours to get all the content from the episode. And then they'll edit it down. They'll add all the cool little things that pop out here and there. But yeah, a lot of work goes into just one of those episodes.
Yeah, I can imagine, like, when you watch a finished product, you might think that it's just as easy as pressing the camera and go, but a lot goes on behind the scenes. I know even from shooting my videos, it's not just press camera, go, and then, okay, there you go. There's all the editing involved, the subtitling, everything. It's a huge production, and I can imagine with such a big show, a lot of effort must go into it. Crazy. Like, okay, I have to ask the question, why is it always only a panel of boys on this show? Why can't they get some girls on there, please?
I agree. I think that, the show's been strictly boys for a long time. And like, I've had little rumors behind the scenes. There might be something they're thinking about with girls. But, when that is, I'm not entirely sure. How it's sort of format, I'm not really sure. But I think, gender equality, girls are just as interesting as guys. And the reason we've got a show with people from around the world is that every country has something to offer. So does genders. So I'm very confident that there'll be some sort of thing in the future that, is girls. And so I think, but ultimately, if the fans want that, that'll happen.
It's the fans. And I've had in discussion a lot of times with my Chinese friends, and people have differing opinions. So for people at home who may not be familiar with the show, it's basically a show that brings together a group of foreign boys. There are no girls on the panel except for there's like a moderator. One of them is female. Am I correct? Yeah, there's one female.
I far-died for a little while.
There's one like female moderator on the panel, but the people from countries, they're from other countries. But
sometimes there's one girl that goes on the show, but she'll be a 一日代表, so guest for the one day. But generally, it's guys.
Yeah, I think Xingya was on once. I was really happy to see her on there. Her Chinese is so amazing. I hope she can become a regular fixture of the show. But I was talking to my friends and I was like, why aren't there more girls on there? Come on, girl power. But they were like, we don't need to see that because, you know, we want to see the cute boys. The fans are mostly girls that watch this show, and maybe they're more interested in watching some cute boys than having girls on there. So I don't know. It's interesting to think about the reasons why it's a panel of boys.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm not sure. I'm sure there's definitely for most of the fans are girls.
Yeah.
There's things that you can talk about which I've got no idea about, which are things that girls like more than boys, and so they're definitely interesting stuff as well. I think probably for some reason it started with boys, and you find boys talking with boys is a different dynamic to girls talking with boys, and girls talking with girls is a slightly different dynamic, and that's just the way that they've gone with it. I think the show that they've created is an exceptional show, really great content. But I'm all for going for an all-girls version or a guy and girl version. I think there's a lot of interesting topics and a lot of great gender, cultural, everything together. And I think that'd be really exciting for the future.
Yeah, I would love to watch that. But
he will be fantastic on it too as well. So if I hear anything behind the scenes and I can give you a bit of a tweet, then I will do my absolute best to get.
I don't know. I don't think my Chinese is good enough for that show. I have to do a significant increase in private tutoring.
Not at all, not at all. If Tianle can get on the show, you can get on it. No, I'm just kidding. Tianle, I love you. I love you. I love you.
So good now. I remember back in the day, he went on after only knowing Chinese for a couple of years, I think. Anyway, who did you just say?
Oh, Tianle. Yeah, Tianle is the India and Thailand guy, and I mean, his Chinese is really good. No, his Chinese is really good. But there's I know, for example, Laura, whose Chinese is exceptional too. But when he first went on, he said that his Chinese was fairly basic at the time that he went on. But of course, it improved over time, and he's an incredibly smart person. You know, he graduated from Oxford and that sort of stuff. But you don't. The show, what's so good about it is that it's not about whose Chinese is the best. It's not about who's the best looking. It's not about who's the funniest. It's about how, who's got stories to tell and who's got a really interesting view on the world, which will, open up the eyes of everyone. And so I think you would do exceptional on the show. I think, your connection and you're promoting Australian culture, which is what I'm really passionate about too. And about promoting Australian and Chinese culture, which I'm really passionate about too. So I think, there's a future there.
Let the chips fall where they may. It would be a cool thing to be a part of, but maybe when my Chinese is a little bit more polished. But I wanted to yeah, no, true. You have to push yourself, and being under pressure is one of the best ways to do that. And but I remember earlier this year I was in Dongbei, and you had gone to Dongbei also to film the promo video for this year for that season of the show. Can you just, because I found it incredible hearing about this experience, could you talk about that a little bit more, about what it was like filming in the middle of winter in Harbin, one of the coldest places in China, or in Dongbei, somewhere in Dongbei. I'm not sure where you were, but what was that like?
In all honesty, I'm wearing a t-shirt now because Melbourne's finally in spring, but I can feel the shivers just going through my spine. It was literally the coldest environment I've ever been into. It was minus 15. And so we went to, it was originally Dongbei, and we went to Harbin, which is, China looks a little bit like a chicken. The Harbin is kind of where the eye of a chicken would be in terms of the shape. And then from there we traveled, I should know this, but it's Fenghuang. I think is how, Fenghuang. I always get the tones a little bit wrong. but Feng Huangshan, I think. Please, if our fans, anyone watching, please correct me if I'm wrong. But anyway, it's a like a village, and I think from memory, I think it's actually in Jilin. I don't think it's in Heilongjiang from memory. I think it's just on the border there. Yeah, Feng Huangshan. Yeah, there we go. Thank you, Duozhang. And we went there because every year they do a promotion for the show, and so they do like a promo. And the year before that, they went to the beach down in Hainan, which would have been a lot like easier because it's like beautiful beaches and stuff. And we went to the cold, and we got all rugged up, and we all did our little shot.
Yeah.
And so some people playing with a snowman, or others were on like a jet ski, and I think I was throwing snowballs and trying to look really manly. And the others were doing snowmen, but we all literally nearly froze. There was people that, they would shoot some, then they'd have to go back indoors to warm up. Because it's like, once you get down to negative 15 degrees, and it really, Liaonings, thank you guys, it's really, really cold. And then there was one scene which looked awesome when you watch the video, but we're all walking through, slow motion through the snow towards the camera with this beautiful backdrop of trees and snow. And that there, like, it was so cold. It was minus 15 degrees. We'd been filming for like 2 or 3 days. And, I had, fortunately, Ozong, or Oo, which was one of the guys in the show, which is that beautiful, there we go, the beautiful painting that over here. And someone else, I forgot who it was. I think it might have been, anyway, there was 2 guys, and they recommended putting Glad wrap around your feet so that the snow doesn't melt and then get into your feet.
Proper boots. They didn't give you boots.
No, I had snow boots, but my feet were still cold. And if the snow gets inside it and then gets wet, then you're really worried.
Yeah.
So, and then you can get frostbite because it's so cold. So, so we all did that, and then I was fine because I'd put the Glad wrap around my feet, but some people hadn't, and their feet were literally cold. So we'd film a little bit, and we'd be like, walking towards the camera and like looking really good and like doing slow motions and everything. And then, once we finished filming, everyone would be like,
I can imagine.
Again, once in a lifetime opportunity, and but I think I'd rather be in the sunny beaches of Sydney than in minus 20 degrees. I think.
Yeah. Sydney's beaches are turning it on recently. It's been nice being in the ocean, going for some walks. That's been really nice. But yeah, talking about the Dongbei stuff, like I remember when I was in Jilin and I went to see the Wusong, the Rime scenery. It was so cold. It was so beautiful, so cold. It was like minus 15, minus 20 degrees, coldest I've ever been in my life. And I needed to get this footage. Like it was so beautiful, but as the day goes on, it will melt. And I remember like one room where you could go and like heat up. It had some heating, and I would go out for 2 minutes, film as much as possible, go back in and take off my shoes and just like hold my feet to get them to warm up. It was absolutely ridiculous. And actually at one point I got out my drone and I was like, let's see if I can actually get this drone to work because it's so cold. I was scared that the batteries would die just as soon as I brought it out. Well, they did die after 15 seconds, but I managed to get 15 seconds of footage in minus 20 degrees. So shout out to my little Mavic Air. But yeah, it's so freaking cold. I've never experienced cold like this. But yeah. Tell us about the hairdresser on Informal Talks, because last time I saw you, your hair was a lot shorter, but you were telling me that there's some special hair dresser.
Oh yeah. So again, today my hair's not looking horrible, but it's been a long time because Melbourne's been. Oh gosh, it's a little bit unique. I know. I'm trying to go for kind of like the boy band sort of look, but it's kind of pulling off. Thanks for everyone. The hair, but I haven't been able to go to the hairdresser because we've been in lockdown in Melbourne for a long time. But I remember chatting with some of the boys on Informal Talks, and when I was over there, I was like, "Oh, I hadn't cut my hair. It's not looking very good. I might just go down to one of the local Lifaden or hairdressers and get a haircut." And they said, "No, don't worry. For the show, they fly in a hairdresser from Korea, and he does all the superstars in Korea, like the K-pop artists, and he is like the man. And he cuts all that hair. And so he did this awesome sort of cut, and every episode I try and change my hairstyle. So, one episode I've got it kind of running down, and sometimes I've got it up. And because I've got my hair is not receding. My hair is not receding. It's just I've got a very high forehead. And so everyone on the show, they say once I put my hair back, I look really old. And they said, start going, the high forehead seems to stick out. Thank you very much, Shenjo. I know I've got a really big forehead, but it's because I've got a really big brain.
Yes.
And so they did this cool real boy band sort of look, and I can't really do it myself as well. So I'm kind of waiting. Maybe once I can fly back to China, and if I can film another episode of Informal Talks, hopefully he can do my hair again. And that'll be good enough for the next year.
That's so cool. Like, could you communicate with him at all? Did he know any English or Chinese?
Yeah, he couldn't speak Chinese, and he couldn't speak too much English, so we had a translator there. That's right, yeah, they had a translator to help. But like, he's a haircutting guy, like haircutting, there's no need for language. He just feels what he needs to do, and he does it.
That is so fancy. And tell me about the wardrobe, because you were wearing some pretty funky outfits. Like, do they have someone that dresses you? Because on the show, they really kind of dress you up in a certain style, don't they?
Yeah, I remember my friend Ning Darin on the show, he said to me earlier on, he said, look, the crazier you dress, the more people will like you. So he just recommended try and dress as crazy as you can. So I stepped it up each episode. And I think the thumbnail for this jabor, I'm wearing an astronaut suit, and that was like kind of the epitome of how crazy I got. But yeah, they have like a whole wardrobe, and they get the wardrobe artist, and they kind of go, oh, you're how big, this will look good. This is what the other guys are wearing, so you can wear this. But generally, what I tried to do was just wear the craziest thing I could find, because yellow, right?
Man, that's hilarious. Because I always wonder on those shows, because they really have you in that certain kind of boy band vibe of dressing and hairstyles as well. So yeah, what a fun little thing to. How long did filming take all up to do a whole episode? To do a whole season?
Yeah. It depends. Sometimes we're quicker than others,
yeah.
But generally an episode could take anywhere from 3 to 5 hours of filming.
Yeah,
and we do 2 to 3 episodes in a day.
Oh,
Yeah. So we could be filming. I remember one night towards the end, we started at. Because we get there early in the morning at 9 or 10 to do makeup and stuff and to go through the script. And then generally we won't be filming until 12 or 1. And so the first episode will go from 1 till could be 5 or 6. You have lunch, and then the next one might be 7 or 8 p.m. or 9 if it's not too smoothly. And one day we literally filmed to 3 a.m. one morning. And the next day we had to start again too. So it's all condensed. Yeah, and so film 4 episodes over 3 days or so, or 5 or 6. No, we did 6 episodes over 3 days one time.
Yeah. My goodness, like I was saying to you earlier, like when I get tired, my just mental capacity just drops, and oh man, I have no idea how you'd be able to be so on and speaking in Chinese and talking about all these topics when it's like 2 a.m. That would be so hard. But
lots of coffee and Hongniu and Red Bull. That's
literally.
That's what.
Did they pay you to say that, Ben?
Yeah. I mean, please, like, I would love to have some sponsors.
Oh my goodness. Crazy. But yeah, what's next for you? Are you going to stay in Australia? Are you going to stay in Melbourne, or go back to China? Like, what's up for you?
We're probably in a similar situation at the moment. We'd both love to be going back and forth with China, because it's part of what we do and part of who we are. At this stage, I don't think I can leave the country. Australia. One is, I think the Australian government is recommending we don't leave. 2, I think China might not even let us in. So for the moment, at least until Corona's under control, I think I'm pretty much stuck in Melbourne, which is not bad. Like, Melbourne is a beautiful city, and hopefully once things start to open up again, I can enjoy coffee, and I can enjoy all the great things that Melbourne has to offer, and even travel maybe inside Australia. So I think in the short-term future, if Australia opens up internally, at least it's a good opportunity to see more of the country, I guess, from where I'm from. But my time mostly is, I'm a developer based in Melbourne, and so we predominantly do office buildings, but we do some residential and land subdivision too, and so that takes up most of my time. And it's a fascinating place to be in. It's very creative. Fortunately, property and China kind of do go hand in hand as well. So there's a wonderful community here in Melbourne and in Sydney, this kind of property community. And so that's where most of my time is. And I think I'm continually focusing my skills on, becoming a more, getting more expertise in this area. And I'm fortunate that, my old man is my boss. So I've got a guy who's got 30 years of experience that I'm working basically one-on-one. So I'm learning 10 years of experience in 2 years or so. So
Wow.
I'm really, really excited about continuing to push the boundaries of how I can combine, this media, this Chinese language and property.
Yeah.
And I think it's a really untapped area about how you can sell or how you can promote a development and a community. And so whether that be like a student accommodation building, whether that be an office, whether that be a residential, townhouses or apartment building, I think communicating it through social media is something which is just, that's how communication works now, works hand in hand with social media. And I think English and Chinese are two of the most spoken languages in the world. Yeah. And particularly in, Melbourne and Sydney, like the Chinese community or the Chinese speaking community and the English speaking community are huge. And so that's kind of where I want to really focus my efforts in creating communities, and just kind of keeping to develop stuff into, creating communities for people to live, work, laugh and play.
Oh man, that last sentence. No, that sounds awesome. Sounds like you're really kicking goals in your arena, and I think you've got a very, very, very bright future ahead. And I hope to see you on more episodes of Informal Talks in the future or on other TV shows. I think you just have such a presence about you, and I'm sure people watching this live stream can get a sense of that. So everyone who's watching, make sure that you go and follow Ben's channel. It's in the description below if you're watching this on my channel, that is. Yeah. Go show Ben some love. Such a talented bloke. Yeah, it's been so lovely talking to you and catching up.
Thank you, Amos. I've been, and if you go to my channel, have a look. Great content, by the way. But I've been a little bit lazy with producing more videos, and I'm really motivated by your drive and the content that you're creating, Amy, too, because I think it's difficult. You're a global person. You're creating content in China, but you've pivoted. And, there's such a rich and diverse Chinese community in Sydney as well. Yeah. I think that's something that really deserves to be shared with the world. And that's what you're doing. You're kind of this channel and this bridge for both people that speak Chinese, that don't speak Chinese, that want to learn Chinese, that just want to try different Chinese food or interest in Chinese culture. I think it's really special. So, you really motivated me. So I've got to keep doing more cool stuff. And I hope that you come to Melbourne soon so we can do some more stuff.
Oh, I can't wait to come and visit Chinatown there and grab some food together. And actually, a funny thing, I was talking with my Chinese tutor the other week, and she was like, oh, you're so lucky you're in Sydney. You can have foods from all over China. My tutor is in China. She is living in Harbin. But I just thought it was funny that we almost have more access to all different types of Chinese food, especially in Melbourne and Sydney, where we have really large Chinese and Asian populations. And it's just funny that I'm almost perfectly situated. I couldn't be anywhere better in terms of exploring Chinese food in general, because you can pretty much find food from everywhere, all over China, all in Sydney, and also in Melbourne. So it's been great to discover that and realize how much of a diverse how diverse a community there is in Australia and in Sydney. And it's unlimited content opportunities, really.
We've got a very, very, very long Indigenous Australian history, but apart from that, we're all immigrants. So my ancestors and weren't born in Australia; they were from Europe, and so that's why we've got such a unique hot pot of cultures in the global cities, Sydney and Melbourne, and so there's so much content. And so much stories and food that are worth sharing. And I know that you've been quite active in speaking with various influencers and YouTubers and video creators, and not just, Chinese ones, but there's also, people that speak other languages and with other cultures. So I'd really encourage anyone that's hasn't been to Australia before, and once things start to open up, if you do get the opportunity, come on down under. Hey, check out Sydney's beaches and beautiful food, and come on down to Melbourne and try our coffee, because it's truly a really special place. And yeah.
I'm really looking forward to coming and visiting you in Melbourne, hopefully soon. I hope you get through the last month or so of lockdown, and fingers crossed that everything goes back to normal as soon as possible. Thank you so much for joining me on this live stream. I had so much fun learning more about your experiences on informal talks and just having a bit of a chin wag. But let's do this again soon. I had such a fun time.
It's been awesome. Thank you, Amy. Look, I'm really looking forward to the next time we do a stream here, or the next time that we're on a Chinese TV show together, or that, we're in the same city doing a video together. I think, there's a lot of fun to be had and a lot of cool content to be created. And so if there's anyone that's tuned into the live stream that are from my channel and you haven't followed Blondie in China, she's an absolute legend. She's the only content on YouTube that's better than my own. So, like, subscribe, repost, and just get in it. And, I'm looking forward to doing some more cool content in the near future with you and seeing where they go.
Awesome. Okay, well, I'll let you enjoy the rest of your night. And thanks everyone for watching, and I'll catch you all next time. Bye,
Thanks, guys. See you later. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.